9 real stories of surreal encounters with psychics. And there's quite a few here, but we're going to take a couple of the best ones, we think.
Well, we'll take the first couple we see.
Well, no.
That would involve
That's the
involve
magic.
Us reading all of them first.
Yeah, we work really hard here at the Folklore Scrolls trying to find the best stories for you guys out there. So, and don't forget to rate, subscribe, and tell your grandma about us.
Don't forget to send me your best cupcake. Make your best cupcake, send it to me.
Yeah.
And I'll never talk about it again.
P.O. Box, the North Pole, at Santa Claus. We're living in his workshop right now.
Just another bit of lore for us.
For some,
bet you didn't see that coming.
For some, there's something enticing about the idea of having a psychic predict the future. If you knew your fate or got some crucial insight, perhaps your life would be more manageable and the future less scary. Of course, experiences vary. Some mediums and tarot readers spend hours studying their craft, with some charlatans have figured out a way to make a quick buck on a few tricks with some flair. And then there are those who believe all of us are a little psychic, whether we realize it or not. We asked the Huffington Post newsroom to anonymously share their stories of encounters with psychics, and the results ranged from intriguing to bizarre to uncanny. Read their stories below.
No. What is this, Huffington Post?
Yeah. We read their thing before. Remember when Congress was getting briefed on the UFOs?
I think so. I think this article is made by Antonia Bloomberg.
Oh, yeah. Antonia, shout out. Sponsored.
Sponsored
not
by
sponsored,
Antonia. No, not sponsored.
So start us off there, Goose.
Let's see, this one. Neckties in the closet.
Oh, yeah. She guessed what color they were wearing. Let me guess. Red? It was either red or blue, or maybe black.
A year and a half or 2 years after my father died. Whoops. Wait, is this a guy or a girl? I need to know. A year and a half after my father died, I interviewed a medium for a story. After the interview, we had lunch, and he asked if I wanted a reading. I agreed and told him that for the most part, I wasn't going to confirm or deny anything he said. I didn't tell him about my father dying, though he was somewhat of a public figure, so definitely Googleable. As he began the reading, he told me that a short, chubby woman in red hair was there, and she kept saying, Ethel, Ethel. My grandma was a short, chubby woman with red hair that looked just like Ethel Merman.
She was standing right next to me.
A bit further into the reading, the medium said, there's a man with Ethel, and he has a message for you. He wants you to tell Ruth that he loves her. Little did the medium know that my mom and dad had been married for 35 years, and when my dad died and they were the most madly in love, that my mom's middle name is Ruth, and he always called her Ruthie, and he was the only one everyone else called her by her first name. I was shocked. I was flabbergasted on the floor. When the hairs of my neck already standing on end, the medium said, there's more. He wants to tell her that she can get rid of his neckties now. Does that make sense? And I was stunned. I responded, yes. Even though it's been quite some time since he died, she hasn't been able to bring herself to get rid of his clothes yet. I called my mom after the reading and told her what the medium had said about my father.
Oh my God.
Supposedly saying he loved her. She was crying when I said, oh, and you still haven't got rid of his clothes, have you? She said, well, actually, I didn't tell you, but I finally cleaned out his closet and took everything to Goodwill 2 weeks ago. I said, that's so weird. The medium said that Dad said you could get rid of his neckties now. It was time. My mom began to cry even harder and said, the only thing I kept was his neckties. They're still in his closet. There's no way the medium could have known that. I didn't even know that. For Christmas that year, my mom gave my 2 brothers and me quilts made out of his neckties.
Here's your dead father's neckties, kids.
How many neckties did he have to make 3 quilts out of them?
I don't know. God.
It's a lot of neckties. You read this one. It's called Play It Cool.
Play it cool. I went to a palm reader for my first month of college with 2 friends. She told me she thought I'd be a journalist, which at the time I thought was a swing and a miss. I had no intention of writing professionally. She also told me that there were 2 men, one who wanted to hold on to me, but I wanted to pull away. and another that I wanted to be closer to. I was still getting the calls from a guy I dated for like a week at the end of high school. And I had a huge crush on my best guy friend at college. She told me...
This girl has such a manly voice.
She told me if I pulled back from the guy I wanted and played it cool, things would work out. I followed her advice. I had previously confessed my feelings and had a really hard time hiding on how emotionally wrecked I was. He didn't appreciate. He didn't reciprocate. And within a few weeks, he was showing interest. We got together that fall and had a very turbulent but personally formative on and off relationship for the rest of college. Looking back, she was pretty good at reading me. Better than I was, for sure.
Wow.
You know, that sounds just like the lady from that one show on Cartoon Network who played late at night. It was almost like a thing of Johnny Quest, but it was like, God, I can't think of it.
Can't remember what character.
Brock, I think, was in it. Like, he was like a big muscular dude, like with blonde hair that beat up everybody, and he worked for the scientist dude that was bald. And then they always had the one guy that was like dressed up like a butterfly attacking him, and he had Miss Girlfriend with him. And she had like the really, like, she was like a really hot looking girl, but she had the like really deep manly voice.
I do not remember this. You'll have to show me later.
Yeah.
Alright. Teen romance. There's a lot of romance in these.
My mom was very big into psychics and has read tarot cards since I was baby.
That's not what it's
baby.
I was a baby.
When I was in high school, she had a psychic power over to the house.
What? She had a psychic power over to the house. Okay.
And the psychic told us,
She invited one. Okay. And the psychic
told us I would break up with my then boyfriend of a year. I was about 16.
Well, there's so many boyfriend ones. It's like, you're gonna break up with your guy.
But the person I was meant to be with would pop up around the time I would be going to college. Naturally, I was devastated as a teen. Would be to hear they aren't going to make it with their first love. I broke up with my high school boyfriend at the end of my senior year of high school and started dating someone I had been friends with soon after. We married 7 years later.
Wait, so she thought she was devastated, but then she broke up with him. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, she knew they're gonna not make it, so she broke up.
Well, she was 16.
Life is sweet when you're growing up so fast, Eric. You gotta make the good times last. Those
Here
are
it
lyrics
is.
from the show 16.
The Venture Bros. That's what it was from. That's
I
what
think
I'm
I
trying to think of.
wanted to see it, but I never actually saw it.
Yeah, Miss Girlfriend, I think her name was. But yeah, that's what she looked like. But she had like the name of like, she had like a very deep manly voice.
Outstanding. All right.
So
here's.
we'll do one. We got time for one more.
Well, I mean,
And let's see here. I had the power to choose. My first experience with psychic happened when I was visiting a childhood friend at college. I remember entering his little shop and being taken to a back room.
that's sketchy.
The psychic said that it looked like I had two love interests.
Bull.
He said that I needed to make a decision between the two of them. And he emphasized over and over again that I had the power to choose.
Choose both.
That one came completely out of the blue. I had already been dating my current boyfriend a few months by that time, and I felt very committed to him. It was only months later that I realized I was still carrying a lot of emotional trauma from a previous abusive relationship. I thought I got over it and moved on, but I hadn't, and it was hanging on like a cloud over my life and my relationship with myself and with other people. I hadn't let it go, and I realized I needed to take action on it somehow, that I still had that power. I started working on it with a therapist. Now, Goose, have you ever gone to a psychic fair or anything like that?
I wanted to, but no.
You haven't? Okay, well, I've gone a few times, and I've had some good experiences, but most of them have been bad. And let me tell you.
Bad experience?
Let me tell you a couple of the bad experiences I had. So there's one I went to, and I think this was, I want to say, in between jobs. And I went there, and my wife, she always takes me there because she's always into that. And she's like, she always chooses one, and she gets like a really good like reading with them. And then I'm always like, okay, well, help me pick out one, because I don't know which one to pick, because they all have their pamphlets and you all read them. They're all like saying like, I know how to predict everything and do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's basically all the same. So I was like, all right, well, just pick one for me. She's like, no, you gotta feel it. You gotta know which one that you want to go to. It's like you'll know. And every time I pick my own, it always ends up badly. But one of the ones I went to, it was like this blonde girl. And I went over to her, and she was like sipping on a ice cap, like a big ice cappuccino drink. And
That's your first tell.
yeah,
A real one will have some kind of crazy tea.
Yeah, I know, right? But I wasn't really good. So I sat down with her, and she was like, oh, like she wasn't even looking at me. She's like looking at her phone, and I was like, yeah. And she was like, all right, well, I'll need your $80. I was paid her like $80. She's like, all right. So, and apparently they never asked for your money until after they asked if your reading's good, but she asked for money up front. So she's like, all right. She's like, yeah, I see you working a lot with your hands. It's like, okay. He's like, I see you like the outdoors. You like being outside. You don't like being inside. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
I see
and
that.
She's like, just like my brother, he does this like AC work, and he does like really good money with it. I could see you getting into that. Getting into working on like ACs and like working on that kind of field, like outside, just like I see woods, like the forest. And like this whole time I'm just like getting more and more like, oh my god, you're so bad. And then I was like, oh thanks, and I walked away, and I went to my wife, and she's seen I was like really down and depressed about it. And then she ended up taking me to the flea market, and we went there, and they did like a tarot reading and whatnot for like $15. And they did way better. They predicted how many kids we would have and what their genders would be.
Nice.
So that was cool. But then I had another one I went to, and this is after we had our first daughter, and I was talking to her, and she was like, yeah, I see you try to do something on the computer. And I was like, what do you think about like kids? She's like, yeah, you can't really afford to have kids right now. And I was like, well, my wife's pregnant. She's like, oh, she is? She's like, well, that's not good. It was just like going through all this, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't even know why I come along with my wife to these things, but it's just like people like to like everybody wants to know the answers, right? Everybody wants to know like, what should I do with my life? Like, I don't know what I should be doing, because you have all these social media things. It's like, look, I started high school, I was working at KFC, now look at me, I'm making millions of dollars a day, and you can learn too if you pay me $1,000 for my online course.
That'll definitely prove how rich I can be.
You ever seen those like videos, like especially with Ty Lopez, where they'll talk for like 3 hours in a row,
but you know
and say absolutely nothing.
But you know what's better than all these Ferraris? Knowledge. Was one story I heard years ago from my mom that is the reason I think psychics could exist. It was a story that her brother's wife like years ago went to like the city, found like a psychic. She got like a reading done, a few things. She said a few things, and she said, "Oh, there's someone here, like a spirit, right? There's like a spirit here. It has a message for a Kim. Do you know a Kim? Now, there's no way she could have known my mom's name was Kim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh well, now keep in mind, I don't know, I forget some of the details because I heard this like 7 years ago or more when I heard the story. But it was like her uncle who had been living like, he had like a tough life, like he got divorced a few times, and like he hadn't been living that well, and he had died recently, like within like the year or two, and there was a ghost spirit. And he said, like, oh, well, there's a ghost here whose name is... What was his name? Well, I mean, I'll give him a fake name for now. Bob. And it's like, oh, the ghost Bob has a message for, like, a Kim, just to tell her that he's doing well. He's happy. And then she told Kim about it. And, well, I mean, it clicked for her.
Nice.
So that was like, wow, that really happened. It's interesting.
And well, my wife said before she met me, she went to a psychic and said that she would, like, find her husband, but he, like, lived far away. And his name started with a D. So, yeah, and then I was like, well, that didn't turn out right at all. And then she was like, well, maybe you're not my one I'm supposed to be with. And then we laughed, and then I cried.
You cried and cried.
Anyways, so that was some cool like stories there. The surgeon crabs and the crazy psychics. So what are you thinking about for next time there, Goose?
Oh, you know what? I actually do have an idea this time rather than a swing in it. I want to know some stories about creation. As in, what's the deal with the giant turtle and the 2 elephants?
Aw, yeah. The Flat Earth Society. I got you.
That's right.
They have supporters all around the globe, don't you
I
know?
want to know why I can't see this giant, massive turtle holding these 2 elephants.
Well, don't you ever look at the shadow on the moon? Come on. There,
that
Goose.
explains it. You're right.
Anyways,
I was a fool.
see you guys next time on the Folklore Scrolls. Holla at you later.